Well, the question is, with the cup final coming up next Sunday, sorry, will Eddie Howe's team be impacted by that? I don't
Abs-
think. Do you think it will? No,
Absolutely not.
no. I think he'll be playing his strongest team possible
He's
to
got
get
to.
3 points against Liverpool.
He's got to. Is he going to gamble everything on getting a result in the cup final? If you're mid-table, you can leave people out the week before the cup final, and a lot of teams would. And Joe Harvey certainly did that before the 74 cup final when we were mid-table. He left players out in the build-up to the cup final and then put them back in for the cup final. But I mean, what if, here's a theory, if he left some out this weekend, we didn't win as a consequence, and then we lost the cup final, so it didn't work that way. We've closed the door on both the cup final and Europe. There's absolutely no way. The only way that you would change the team with a cup final in mind is if you had a player that was a bit iffy, like Joe Willock, physically a bit iffy with an injury, not tiredness. Then you wouldn't risk. You wouldn't risk Joe Willock before a final when he's carrying a hamstring, because you could put him out for 6 weeks if you did that. Never mind just a cup final. And I don't. So outside of an unknown injury, and how many of has there been of them recently? And hamstrings are very difficult, and Callum Wilson always suffers from hamstrings, and there was a hamstring evidently that kept him out at Bournemouth. But how much of a hamstring? Just a little niggle, and with him you dare not risk anything. Or is it still a problem this week? You don't know. But the only answer is you don't take risk for hamstring. If somebody's left out, like Willock, like Joe, like Callum Wilson, it'll be because they're physically carrying, not because they're being rested when 100% for the cup final. Absolutely not.
Graham says we could lose the next 3 and still finish 4th or even higher. One swallow doesn't make a summer. Patience is a virtue. We now have a club that is trying and a manager that gives a damn. Ian says, couldn't agree more. We're looking very leggy, thin squad exposed when you look at the bench with the likes of Manquillo and Ritchie there as options. And there's been quite a few people
What, sorry to put in, I like what Graham said there. Now, it's absolutely right. Let us not panic, etc., etc. But I don't think if we lose the next 3, we'll finish 4th top, will we?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think if we lost 3 on the bounce, we'd still finish 4th top.
But maybe I think what Graham's maybe pointing out there again is that whole bigger picture argument about, well, if you finish 6th or 7th after where Newcastle have been for the past 14 years, and you're in a League Cup final.
Yeah, I know exactly what Graham's getting at. He's absolutely right. We've got to keep a sense of proportion. But I think the time to have a sense of proportion is at the end of the season, when it's all over, all dusted. You're dusting down your trousers. You're going to think of your summer holidays, and you say, "Hey, what do I think of the season?" I half enjoyed it. Yes, we didn't quite make this, or we didn't quite do that, but it was wonderful. While it's on, you're naturally wanting to beat Liverpool. You're naturally wanting to win the cup. You're naturally wanting to get in the Champions League. And, that's just nature for your club. You're not being critical. You're being hopeful, and you're wanting them to pull together and make it for all our sakes.